GJA president leads moral crusade against homosexuals with a call on journalists to take a stand against the practice.
Should not take a neutral posture. The posture of neutrality doesn't arrive when it comes to right or wrong. We should be seen to be law-abiding, which will help shape our morality as a nation.
But is the GJA's position acceptable when its code of ethics entreats journalists to be neutral and balanced in their reportage?
Seriously, the GJA needs to come again. Has he even thought about the implications of being biased towards this special group?
That will be difficult to, marry with the ethics of the job. As a journalist, you're supposed to be unbiased.
Tonight, we'll also find out whether this position discriminates against the rights of the gay community. Top Story is brought to you by Bond Financial Services. Your success, our passion. Bella Criminal Water, the new generation water, Star Life Assurance, as well as Blue Rose Limited. I am Francis Aban. GJA President Afel Money is leading a moral crusade against homosexuals in Ghana. The GJA President has directed journalists in the country to take a robust stand against homosexual practice in their reportage. Ghanaians generally frown against the practice, even though the law is not explicit on homosexuality. The GJA president, Afel Money, says journalists must mirror the position of the country in this reportage. Shortly, we'll hear from him. But he said that the media does not have to take a posture of neutrality as far as issues bordering on morality are concerned. But some editors we have been speaking to have questioned the directive.
To tell us to take a position, I find that it is ill-timed, first of all, and I also think that when this debate was ripe and everybody was talking about as a nation taking a position on this matter, there was very little we heard from GJA. If the idea was that they were taking their own time and to analyze the issue properly and take a clear position, I think that it's also ill-timed, because they first of all have to ask the nation as a state to take a position before they come to journalists and ask us to take a position and declare an editorial. I don't think that is fair.
I see from our file and the GJA for that matter that this is one rare case where he wants, as it were, to whip the practitioners into what the GJA thinks is the line of state, the line of the nation Ghana. This state has professed to be anti-gay, to be anti all the things that men do, things like that. So I guess the GJA is now saying that this is state policy that we shouldn't go against. This is state policy that we should preach rather than allowing people to violate. On that score, I can understand him. There comes times in the history of every nation where journalists, whoever, even at times even armed robbers, the underworld and criminals fight for the nation. If this nation feels so strongly against gay, and so even the media wants to join in one accord against gay, fine.
We have to remain neutral on such issues. We're there to educate and inform the public. We present the facts as they are, and people can make up their own minds. But it's sort of a bit of a dilemma, I understand, because in our society there are very, very strong views against gays and lesbians and all that, because they're under one umbrella. But that should not prevent us from also reporting the other side of it. Not that you're going to make a case for them as such, but you also have to deal with the other side of it and also tell their story and also look at the facts and as the way they are. So I'm not sure that it will affect the way we report on gay issues.
The views of some editors on this directive given by the GJA president. But we can now hear that exclusive interview we had with the GJA president, Afel Money.
What I did say, and I stand by it, is that anything which is contrary to the law should not be embraced by the media. We should be seen to be law-abiding and then helping to amplify our laws, which will help shape our morality as a nation. Because even though we have the latitude and freedom to operate, because freedom is the very oxygen of our profession, we are also constrained and shackled by Article 164 of our own constitution, which states that our freedom is limited by such laws on morality, public decency, and all that.
So give me a classical example of how a journalist, for example, should be able to expose gay practice in Ghana.
For instance, speaking against what is morally wrong. As I said, when it comes to morality, the media should not take a neutral posture. The posture of neutrality doesn't apply when it comes to right or wrong.
But I've spoken to a lot of journalists a while ago, and they are telling me that, the GJ itself has issues. They rather the president speak directly to those issues instead of this issue, which necessarily does not affect the profession.
At the Supreme Court, we devote unprecedented attention to the Supreme Court litigation over who actually won or lost the election. Are we to be? We are. This does not mean we should throw other issues to the dustbin.
No, but the mean, for example, like issues about welfare and all of those. A lot of journalists are not being properly paid. Like you yourself said at a press conference a while ago, you raise issues. Journalists have consent. The media itself in this country,
yes, we have consent.
We have issues. Why is the GJ not addressing that instead of this?
We have issues over conditions of service. We have so many issues. In fact, the issues are manifold. Understand? But this does not obscure the fact that what is wrong, what is right.
So that was the interview with the GJA president, Afel Money, with Joy News' Ani Osabuti. So we've heard from the editors, we heard from the GJA president. Let's now hear from the journalists, the people who go in search of the stories and what they make of the GJA's charge. We've been speaking to our colleagues at the various media houses in the capital.
I strongly believe that seriously the GJ needs to come again on this issue. As professionals, seriously, we need to take a neutral stand. Has he even thought about the implications of being biased towards this special group? In Kenya, for instance, gay prostitutes are one of the highest contributors to HIV/AIDS. So if as journalists we sideline them, we push them to the wall, do we know the impact it would have on Ghana as a society?
That would be difficult to, marry with the ethics of the job, which the GJ is well aware of, because as a journalist you're supposed to be unbiased and objective in your reportage. So I certainly do not see how taking a stand in the issue that you're reporting on, unless it is crusading journalism, to bring attention to an issue in society, I don't see how that can really be a good.
I think it would be the best thing to do. As a journalist, aside being objective in everything that you do, you also have to go straight and strictly according to what you believe in.
But your job as a journalist is not to work based on your beliefs and codes. It should be based on the ethics or the guidelines of the profession.
We all know that the laws of the land doesn't even approve of it. We have to also be against it.
It is not clear in our laws in our country, as a country, even though the nation's position is that we are anti-gay.
I see our culture frowns against it.
We're now joined on the line by Associate Professor at the University of Ghana School of Communication, Professor Audrey Gajipo. Many thanks for your time on Top Story. So, the GJA president has started the moral crusade to anti-gay reportage. Is this permissible, also considering the journalist to his job of being objective and neutral in his or her reportage?
I don't think it's a question of permissibility. I think that we should be asking the GJA president that as a leader of an organization whose purpose is not only to crusade against wrongdoing in society, but to protect the vulnerable and the marginalized, where he will weigh on this. 1. 2, I am just surprised that instead of a journalist association working on issues that affect the morality of journalists in the prosecution of their duties and also issues that would protect journalists, he thinks it is his place to pronounce a fatwa on homosexuality. It's the most bizarre thing for the president of the Journalists Association to be doing, and it's very wrong-footed.
Well, he argues that the country has taken a position to be anti-gay, but does that allow journalists to push this position of the state over individual rights?
I beg your pardon, he argues that what?
He argues that the country has taken a position to be anti-gay, even though the law is not explicit. And the question is, the question really is that...
country asked me my position on gayhood. Which country has taken a position to be anti-gay? And you know, the practice of journalism needs people who are broad-minded, who are critical thinkers, who will question even what is the status quo. Because the status quo is not always right. Let me give you an example. If you had gone to the United States before 1966, you had gone to the southern United States, you don't think you have majority of the people there who were white saying that blacks ought to be slaves and blacks ought to be separate? If you had gone to apartheid South Africa, would you not find the ruling class saying that blacks ought not to be given political rights? And I use those as an example to say that our profession requires that we take a minute to reflect deeply on people who are on the margins and to ask, why is it that society has a problem with them? What is it that they are doing that we take exception to? How do they harm the larger society? You know, and then I've heard people talk about cultural attitudes. Again, it's the place of journalists to investigate and analyze and do research. What were our cultural attitudes to people's sexual difference before Judeo-Christian, evangelical sort of thinking has pervaded us? We coexist with difference in our cultures. And that's what journalists ought to be pushing. Journalists ought to be pushing the fact that when you look at the international stage, and when you look at international instruments on human rights, all international instruments that Ghana is signatory to protect the rights of minorities, including sexual minorities. So I really think that journalists ought to be asking those questions, ought to be debating those issues in a constructive manner, not to bring their own personal views on the matter in the public arena and use his position as a GJA president to tell media houses to crusade against it. I can think of 10 million things that journalists in this country ought to be doing to protect the Ghanaian society that are much more harmful than what people do in their beds.
Right. Most of the journalists and the editors we spoke to do not agree with this this moral crusade. You've already preferred what should be done, but this is coming from the leader of the Journalists Association.
Well, you see, you said that Ghanaians have taken an anti-gay position, but right off the bat, you just told me that most of the editors...
those were the words of the GJA president in that interview.
Yes. Okay, so it tells you that he is not even in step with the members of his association, because you just said that you spoke to editors and the editors don't agree with his position. And so it's telling that he is going to have a tough time on his hands if he decides to direct people on issues that he really has no business to do. Leave evangelical right-wing pastors to pronounce on homosexuality. You are a journalist association. Look after the welfare of your people, and there are a lot of welfare issues. Today, Cabinet approved the Right to Information Bill. I would like to see him ask journalists to scrutinize the bill, send memos so that we have the kind of bill that facilitates some of information for everybody in this society. He should leave things that are not in his competency alone, because quite frankly, he hasn't even bothered to research the complexity of this matter.
Right. I want to say thank you for speaking to us, Associate Professor at the University of Ghana School of Communication, Professor Audrey Gajap. And that will be it for Top Story. But we'll be getting some legal perspective on this issue on Newsnight if you join us in 15 minutes. Top Story is brought to you by Bond Financial Services, your success, our passion, Belacqua Mineral Water, the new generation mineral water, Blue Rose Limited, as well as Start Life Assurance. I am Francis Aben.